I have always found comfort in pretending I am the main character in moments of distress because the audience is there rooting for me and everything is going to be okay. In this way, being the main character has been a coping mechanism for me. But main character syndrome and main character energy have taken on a whole new meaning on the internet. And once the motherfucker again, the internet has so many different takes on what a main character represents. And to be honest, a lot of it is negative. Main characters have been known to be anywhere from narcissists, it girls, and people just working on their confidence and loving themselves. We as a culture and society have a big self-obsession problem. And it is because of capitalism, individualism, white supremacy, all of those things that we have to actively unlearn every single day. We are constantly told to just love yourself, fall in love with all of the uglier parts of you, love everything about you, but also don't love yourself too much. The New Yorker describes main characters as moments composed with an audience in mind. They're vicarious spectacles. The New Yorker also says you have to start romanticizing your life. You have to start thinking of yourself as the main character. Because if you don't, life will continue to pass you by. So what the fuck is a main character? Could all of this exist without social media? What's going on with the Carrie Bradshaw situation? Is confidence culture in general a good thing? So let's get into it.
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm one of your hosts, Fiji, like the island, like the water. I have a fucking sinus infection, and I work in social media and marketing.
And I'm your other host, Autumn. Like the season, I am attempting to have spiritual orgasms lately, and I work in entertainment. So what the fuck is a main character, y'all? What is main character syndrome, main character energy? There are so many different ways that this is talked about online and just in general. So we're going to define it and break it down. First, let's take a look at this TikTok. It is a woman dancing in the street. There is a man performing, and her friends are joking like, my friend's the main character. She thinks this man is performing for her, and she's dancing in the streets. And so like it's giving free spirited, it's giving she doesn't care. Like to me, this is great. Like I love this. I think it's funny. I think it's fun. What do you think?
It's giving like he's the main character too, though, because like she's the main character, he's singing to her, but like he's the main character, he has a big ass fan, so like, you know.
And you know what, babe? It's crazy that you motherfucking say that, because through all this research, it's like the negativity is really stemming from like, oh, well, if you're the main character, no one else could be either. Like, there's not a lot of people analyzing it in terms of like, we're all main characters, like in harmony. And
each, because there's multiple books, bitch. There's not just one book. Right. Like, you have the book from your perspective, I have the book from my perspective.
And we can coexist. Exactly. But then we have videos on TikTok that exemplify the main character in this way.
Hi, I'm finally here. Yeah, I'm finally showed up. I know you guys were all waiting for me. You guys can finally start. You can finally start ordering. Oh, you ordered without me. Oh my God, no, that's totally fine. I know that you probably were just thinking that that's what I would have wanted. So, but I'm here. Let's get shots.
Okay, I feel like we all know this stereotype, and not gonna lie, like I've been around, I feel like it's usually a girl like this that's like very like, oh my God, everyone is thinking about me constantly, and usually she's hot, so like people actually are. Also, I think I can be this girl at times, like especially when I'm like serving, bartending, whatever, like I bring that like, because
you have to.
Right, and my mentality, I was talking about this with my friends at dinner the other night who are also in the industry, is that unless you act like the star to the people you're serving, they're gonna treat you like dirt. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes it's like I'm bringing this energy because you need to give this energy back to me.
I want you to treat me like
that. But I do think the girl in the TikTok like doing like a little bit too much. Like sometimes it's like, all right, bitch, like calm it down. Like we're doing like we need too much energy. But other times the haters can just like, okay, like raise your vibrations too. Like I don't.
Right, no, I think there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's funny, it's jokes. We can all think of, like, a bitch that acted like that, even if it's us ourselves, because, like, I feel you, like, to a certain extent. Like, especially, like, growing up, I feel like it was even worse sometimes.
Yes.
But then you can also look at this and be like, oh, like, is it misogynistic? Like,
Right.
whatever. Like, 'cause we're, like, but then it's also just, like, don't be friends with that person. Like, why are you going to hate? Like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But, like, overall, like, I think it's jokes. And I think, like, that falls more into territory of, like, narcissism to an extent. It's like, do you really think, like, are you being serious or are you being ironic?
Right.
Because I feel like we will do it in an ironic way. Like, I don't actually think everyone has waited for me to arrive.
You're joking. You're doing a bit.
But to help my insecurities, I'm going to damn sure tell myself that the party has not started until I walk in. Like, that.
Yeah,
so
no.
It's layered.
I feel like there's a difference between doing it as a bit and doing it as, like, we're role-playing right now. We're performing, like we talked about in our last episode, versus being like, no, like, actually the world does not start moving until I enter the room.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. There's a fucking line. Exactly. So if we go to the New Yorker, they put out an article kind of after the pandemic, which is where arguably maybe this like really picked up. It's kind of been a thing forever, but it's like everything after the pandemic, everything changed. I know it's tired, but they put out an article, we all have main character energy now. They said over the past year, on the strength of that one TikTok video, which has more than 3 million views, the main character archetype has become part of internet vocabulary, a sort of social media update to the type A personality. It describes any situation in which a person is making herself the center of attention. The crux. Thank you. The crux. No, okay. The crux of a particular narrative, as if cameras were trained on her and her alone. The term can be used appreciatively, acknowledging a form of self-care, putting yourself first, or as an accusation, a calling out of narcissism. A person dressing too extravagantly for a casual event, for example, is trying to be the main character. Main character moments are those in which you feel ineffably in charge, as if the world were there for your personal satisfaction. And can we just take a second? It says, it describes any situation in which a person is making herself. Like, is this just about women? You feel me?
Okay, true.
Like, they
Good
do very
catch right
much
there.
gender it. Like, I was loving it with person at first.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, I'm always like my little misogyny binoculars.
Yep.
Because I'm like, don't call bitches pick-me's, da-da-da-da. Like, main character, like, you know what I mean? It falls under that umbrella a little bit.
And it is a very misogynistic perspective to expect women to make themselves smaller. I was thinking about this a lot lately. Like,
oh my God.
I was typing out, I was going to post this long Instagram post about So Wet, So Dry. And then I was like, girl, like, we're doing too much. But I was thinking about, like, my own sexuality and the ways in which, like, you know, your sexuality is always brought attention to, whether I dress up extra as fuck or not. So, and I am, when I go out with my friends, and I've had friends tell me before, like, when we're just going out to get drinks on, like, a fucking patio, like, Fiji, like, why are you doing too much? Like, why are you dressing too much? First of all, I work from home and I look like a rat most of the time.
I have things to say about that.
Right, but I've also had friends that are like, oh, I'm single right now and you're not, so can you not dress like that? And my whole thing is like, bitch, that's what makes me confident. I'm not even, would I like to be the hottest bitch in the room? Sure. But like, also, like, I just like to fucking dress up. Like, I like to, like, look good. And I know that I'm going to be, like, sexualized and, like, tension is going to be called to me regardless, so I might as well fucking, like, feel good in the spotlight, you know?
And, like, if I could just say, bitch, like, you, and, like, for people saying that, like, it's so crazy because it's not, like, easy to, like, pop out everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And, like, yes, like, I feel like our whole friendship, like, let's, like, you wear the huge boots, like, whatever, like, I would kill to be able to just, like, wear those. But, like, I feel like, oh, I'm doing too much. But really, like, I'm being stupid. Because,
it's something you have to get over. I feel like, I honestly feel like.
I envy that with you hard. So the way that people, like, want to dim that is crazy to me. Because that's, like, one of, like, my biggest, like, turn-ons to being your friend. Like, back when we were, like, I almost said back when we were little. But, like, I was like, damn, like, she really, and it's like, Yeah, so it's crazy.
And that's the thing, though. I feel like people look at it as like me when I'm getting dressed to be happy with my style, advance my style, like be happy with myself. And
Right.
like, do I sometimes worry when I put an outfit on, like, oh, is this gonna call attention to myself? Like, especially if it's slutty or something like that. Like, if I'm going out at night, I don't really care. If I'm going out during the day, I care. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like for me, it helped going to a different country and like trying that out around other people. I forget what episode we were talking about that in, but like everyone should feel that way. Like, are people gonna give you dirty looks? Are people gonna throw shade? Yes, they do to me all the time. But like, I don't give a fuck because I get as many like compliments and I feel good when I'm taking pictures as much as people are like giving me a dirty look. And the people that are giving me a dirty look, you probably low key want to dress like this and probably have just as good style as I do, but you're afraid to. You know,
so right, and why they're afraid to is not your fucking fault for doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's so and it's real to be afraid to do that. Like I feel it to a certain extent, and like even just friends I've had, like sometimes have been like, "Oh, you're not gonna wear like that tonight, though. Like those shoes or like that wig or whatever." And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Bitch.
Like yes, I am gonna wear it. Like now I'm not. Like I'm just like so it's a lot. So I really that's like a really
I want to
good
say
point.
two other things real quick to this. But one, if you are, because I really want to speak to the people that are struggling with that, because I get it and I still do it. Like I feel like I would do more, but like follow people. Yeah. Like you know how sometimes when you follow people on Instagram, it makes you more insecure and like whatever. I try to follow people that are like in different cities, in different countries, like taking pictures and stuff. Because like you only see the circle that's like around you. But once you look at the broader world and you see what other people are doing, you're just like, why am I afraid? Baby. Right. Like, let me just live this. But the second thing I want to talk about real quick in this paragraph, it says type A personality. Remember on TikTok, it was trending the whole, like, your type B friend, like, your type A friend. Like, I thought type A was the type of person that's like, we need to be here at this time. We need to have everything together, like, versus type B is more of a mess. Yeah, like, they take charge. Right. Yeah, because I feel like personality, I'm more B. I don't know. It depends. But
I know. Yeah. They're adding it as sort of like an update to the type A personality, which I don't really see the correlation, like, as much. I guess, like, a little bit, because it's like, you want everything your way. Yeah. But yeah, I know it's kind of like a weird correlation. It's interesting to see like what these articles like think main character is. Like they're not really on TikTok living it and perceiving it like we are, Yeah. But last thing I'll say to what you said, it's all about being perceived. Every single episode that we fucking do. Because you're like, I'm dressing this way. I'm like, I'm dressing this way to go out and feel good about myself. Like, to heal my inner child, like the little girl that was like afraid to wear things to school,
or that was in Catholic school and had to wear
or she was in Catholic school and wasn't able to, like that is what it is. It's like healing. Yeah. And then when people are like, oh, well, like, I'm not single right now, like, whatever. It's like, and so it's like people are concerned with being perceived by, like, other men and people at the party whole time. You're literally not even thinking about that. Yep. So when they come to you with these concerns, like, oh, can you not do the most right now? You're like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm, like, literally trying to make myself feel okay to go out tonight. So, So this YouTube video inspired a lot of the episode. It's called Main Character Syndrome and the Authenticity Trap. I really love this creator. I think she's so freaking awesome. And she did an in-depth analysis on a bunch of things in this video, including main character syndrome. So she says, when talking about like how to define it, she's like, obviously everyone acts a little different depending on who is watching or who's around. But main character syndrome takes this to a whole other level. Main character syndrome is not who you really are. It's the vision you want to create for others. And I really liked that. Like, cause I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it, but I was like, oh yeah. Because like, I do feel like for me, like accessing main character energy, like it is something like above what I am like currently, like maybe like a higher aura. So like it is me, but like not yet. It's like someone that I like want to be, and I'm gonna exude confidence and move accordingly so I can get there and be in my main character. Like it's like a spiritual fucking awakening. Yeah. So I thought it was cool how she broke it down like that. Describing it, and again, this is all her opinions and based on her research and stuff. Not saying I fully agree. But she's like, main characters, you get dressed up to go grab a carton of milk at the store. It's like, oh, I need to go get my twisted tea at the corner store if you fucking put on like a fucking full out, outfit and popped out there, which bitches do. Like I've done it too. She says you speak loudly because you think others want to hear what you're going to say. Like low key, like I've
done that, yeah.
Where I'm like on the phone and it's like a juicy conversation.
And you're like,
let me talk a little louder. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it's like low key, like annoying, or like when people get so mad when you're like in a coffee shop on FaceTime, like no headphones. Like,
oh, I don't give a fuck.
Hate that shit. I know you do that bad. Like, and it's like that's what she's talking about, like that sort of idea.
Yeah.
And here's where a lot of the opinions differ. So she was talking about these main characters, or like an aspect of main character syndrome, is you consider the other people in your life as secondary characters and you think you are above those characters. So that's the biggest. It's like people that don't really fuck with it is because they're like, they think main characters are like them, you, like that's it. They are just God and everyone else is, holy master.
Got it.
But people that don't think that and think the main characters can coexist in perfect harmony are down with it. So it's interesting. And like also the type of person that is like, they hear their friend venting or whatever, and not in hopes to like relate and make them feel better, but just to make it about them. They like bring up something else and like just talk about themselves. Like they're not really active listeners to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so as I was saying, like the biggest discrepancy is like some people think main characters are only focused on them and that's it. Everyone else is below them. And then some people think it's just an energy and like everyone can do it simultaneously. And in the New Yorker, it echoes that other opinion that's saying like making oneself the center of the scene does not mean discounting the experiences of everyone else. And this same idea was echoed in Reddit. Someone said, I think the issue is when people end up treating others as if they're supporting characters in their story and not protagonists of their own lives. So with all the research that I did, that's what I found. It's like most people that don't really fuck with main character syndrome, it's because they think those people are narcissists and like they really don't give a fuck about anyone else in their lives. Like, not really what I'm seeing from that first TikTok video of the girl dancing in the street. Like, she's not harming anyone, you know? And you're like, she's the main character and so is he. So that's like definitely where people don't see eye to eye the most when it comes to main characters.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much here, right? Because it's like, to be a main character, you need an audience, obviously, right? Like, it implies that someone is like watching you, someone is perceiving this story, this character. I don't like the idea that a main character has to be like, how they even said like put an outfit on to go get a carton of milk, like whatever. Maybe it's just the English nerd in me who's read like a lot of books and like studied literature. It's like a lot of main characters are also very like tragic and like unreliable narrators and also like problematic. And I feel like I've had an issue in my own life in the past that I'm like getting over now as I do my mental health journey, where it's like I only want to present the part of me that is like completely together, dressed up to go get the milk carton, and not the flawed part of me that I like keep over here. And that's why I'm like not great at like maintaining relationships sometimes, because I just disappear. But I think like main characters, like the idea that a main character has to be like perfect or always even the center of attention, because I can think of a lot of books that I've read where like the main character is an introvert, you know what I'm saying? Or they feel like the secondary character to a friend that's like a bigger person than them, but in that book they're still the main character. So I don't think that to be the main character you have to be like an it girl in all of these sorts of senses. That's one thing to me.
And I'm really glad you brought that up, because like we both went to Emerson College, right? Like you studied literature, like I studied film. Like we've both like analyzed main characters till the fucking cows came home. Like I don't know that expression, but like we have really analyzed main characters and what that means like in media, film, text, whatever. And then you look at what a main character is in the eyes of TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. And it is different. It has similarities. It's coming from the same place. But the internet will twist things and turn things. And I'm not mad about it. Like, it makes for a deep analysis. Like, again, I'm like, does everyone else look at things like we do? I'm just like, there's so many layers to the main characterness. But yes, continue.
Yeah, because actually in literature and media, a main character does not need to be this perfect, you know, confident person. Like a lot of times they're flawed people, and that's what makes them interesting to know their story. But the whole idea of like secondary characters, where was it in the Reddit thing? The supporting characters in the life of the story versus protagonists in their own lives. I think this is like big because it's like, okay, like if you're picturing yourself this like main character, like I am like the star, like da 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 da, I think it's a big difference between exactly what that's saying, where it's like these people exist just to fuel your ego and your story, versus these people are also whole people who are have their own whole lives and their story. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I feel like, as much as I know about narcissism, like that's where you can cross the line once you start to believe that your friends, your family members, whatever, are only existing to like feed your progression and not their own. You know what I'm saying?
Dehumanizing. You're dehumanizing them, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think main characters can exist amongst other main characters, and we don't have to hurt each other.
Right.
Like,
We're
it doesn't
all in our own
need
book.
to be like that.
Yeah.
And and like maybe we're in the same book. Like, I don't know. Like, just different POVs. Like, you know those books that it's like each chapter.
Right.
Bro, I love.
And that's
those.
like how I like, even when I think about like us like creating a book, a movie, like whatever, like I feel like we're both very much like main characters in our own ways, but you need each other's like perspective. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I think about like all my friends and stuff like that, it's like everybody could write their own memoir. Like, duh. Like, you're living your own fucking life. You could, and my character in your story could be completely different, obviously. So, like, inherently, we're all kind of the main characters in our own lives.
Right, because also it's like how we see each other is different than how we like see ourselves. If you were to compare those two, it might make you cry, honestly.
Yeah.
But then lastly, the YouTube video also talked about like how the main character syndrome and main character experience like comes a lot with social media, and that is what made it blow up, which led me to ask the question to myself and to you guys right here, right now: could main character syndrome exist the way it does now without social media? So there's this interesting article from the New York Times that like kind of talks about like film and art and TikTok and how these things imitate each other, and I really liked it. It's so like us, so wet, so dry. So basically it says, you see a lot of this on TikTok now. Videos that describe ordinary life using the language of television. Scroll through and you'll find users charting the different seasons of their lives or highlighting the emergence of plot arcs. You may find users referring to the people in their lives as cast.
That's a little crazy.
Including both passing encounters with paid extras and reoccurring appearances by guest stars. There is a certain permeability between art and life, and pleasure in perceiving it. We take satisfaction in recognizing our lives in on-screen plot lines as we thrill to real-life moments that feel just like a movie. But TikTok's video-based format has wildly amplified the impulse to collapse the distance between the two and imagine yourself as an on-screen character, bitch. They didn't say bitch. Perhaps there, and then this was like a little bit later in the article, I liked this one quote: perhaps there is therapeutic value in conceptualizing your life as a coherent story, one you cannot only analyze but direct. You guys, I just have to say something. Like, this is like everything to me. Like, first of all, it's like, okay, yes, like the whole point of me reading this was like, we got film, we got characters, but now on TikTok, we're characters too. And it's like everything is becoming like Sims. So much more. Like the main character is everything. But like I live for like a movie experiences. I literally, you guys, when I'm having a bad day, like I will pretend I'm on camera. I will pretend it's a fiction story, and I'm not doing anything to the plot. I'm just going about my life and doing as I do. But the audience is comforting. I want to be perceived. Yes. I want people watching. It makes me be a better version of myself, so I think. But that is what my brain tells me, and that's why I do it. And, like, I love storytelling, like, acting, different names, like, bitch. Like, this is my whole life. And, like, so to see the internet, like, going crazy, and, like, I get it. Like, I don't want to be friends with narcissists either. I don't want to be friends with people that are so self-obsessed, they don't give a fuck about anyone else. Like, anyone that knows Fiji and I, like, in our personal lives, like, we very much do give a fuck about everyone else.
Sometimes
like, a little too much. Exactly. But it's like, this shit, when I'm alone in my room and, like, pretending, is not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
Might I come across to, like, a stranger a little tapped? I don't really care.
And out.
There's weirder things about me. Trust me, this is not the weirdest one.
Yeah, and no, especially when I'm on, like, if I'm confident, if I'm feeling good, if I'm a little manic, which I do want to talk about throughout this episode, because both of us also have the bipolar BPD, whatever the fuck situation going on. So, like, the mania adds a fucking layer to, like, feeling like you're the main character, feeling like you have, like, a god complex, like, on a high. But, like,
because you, like, mentally, like, are literally
you're literally like I feel incredible, and everybody else thinks I'm incredible, and let's just
like
keep being
cocaine,
incredible.
kids.
Right, like, we're up right now, bitch. But one of the things, like, the whole, like, guest star, like, cast of characters thing, like, I have realized this, too, like, and we were talking about it off camera, but I'm like, why me and you work so well as best friends, because we're both fucking main characters, we're both fucking stars, and we both shine in our own way. And I feel the same way about my friend Lo, my friend Sean, my friend Will, and, like, sometimes when I'm out with them, I will, like, picture, like, we're on a reality TV show, and, like, because the shit that they'll do is so fucking funny.
Like,
or like
someone should
or
be
like
filming.
one of my, like, Sean is like a pop star, like Will is like an R&B. So it's like literally, like, I love to surround myself with other friends that I'm like, no, like, you're a star, because, like, I like to be an audience for them too, like, you know what I'm saying? And I can't really be friends with people who don't have that confidence or don't have that level of whatever, and I have in the past, because, like, they'll act like what I'm doing is weird. But I want us to be, like, improving off of each other. Like, this should be, like, we're all, like, a crew of, like, it bitches. Like, you know?
We add together, and that's why it's, like, we always talk about, like, you guys, like, we always talk about, like, wanting to, like, write memoirs, like, write a movie. Like, we're both, like, very into, like, all of that sort of creative storytelling. And it's, like, you're the main character, I'm the main character. But I think my main character's story is enhanced by, like, your main character energy being next to me.
Yes.
And a lot of TikToks online, a lot of women are talking about, I want to be friends with wealthy women, driven women. And again, in my mind, I'm like, oh, so you wouldn't be friends with someone that doesn't have money? But, like, I get it. Like, you do want to surround yourself with people that uplift you, because, like, we are the energy that we're around all the time. Like, you consume that shit. So, of course, you're going to want to be friends.
And date, too, low-key. Like, even though, like, the guys that I've been with in the past, I wouldn't say they're always, like, the best guys.
Bitch, absolutely
or the hottest guys in the vicinity.
I know, but
they have, like,
what it wants.
And that's what I'm talking about, what a main character is, though, because, like we've talked about in past episodes, my exes have gone to jail, and they've gone through mental health tragedies, and they've
done really
been
bad
broke
things.
as fuck. But, like, there has always been something about them as a character, as a personality, that is just so, like,
because you wanted to see them get through that arc.
Right,
but they're
exactly.
never
I'm
going
rooting
to.
for them. Like, I love people that just have a complex Holden Caulfield situation going on. Yeah.
Right. Because I also think you don't need to surround yourself and everyone's perfect. Like, you can also have some friends that maybe have had it fucking rough. Like, maybe just came out of the trenches, bitch.
Yes.
But they're on a path to success. They're moving accordingly. Like, they're ready. Like, you know, it doesn't always need to be, like, so perfect. But I just, like, absolutely love this. Like, I am such a, like I act every single day. Like, every single day. Like, am I ever being, like, yes, I'm honest sometimes, but, like, I'm basically, like, always acting and, like, playing a part. Like, and I want to do it like that.
And perform it. And it kind of reminds me of, like, the partying episode, and even, like, cringe, because it's, like, partying as performance, right? But what... I don't know, because when it's talking about, like, picturing your life as, like, a storyline and da-da-da-da, like, I feel like I picture my life as, like, scenes and, like, moments, but when we talk about the whole story arc, like, all the times that I'm depressed, and this is the bipolar part, right? Because, like, when I'm depressed, rotting in bed, I don't want an audience at all. Like, I had just posted something on TikTok, like, being raw about, like, what it's really like to be, like, depressed sometimes, and also have these ups and downs, because I'm like, now that I know this is an illness, let me, like, own it and be like, okay, like, I'm not perfect, because I feel like sometimes it's to my detriment that people only see that side of me and don't realize that, like, I'm a whole human as well. But, like, I feel like I do live my life very much in, like, not episodes, but, like, scenes. Like, I'm not picturing the whole book.
Yeah. And I do think that, like, social media and all this shit has a lot to do with that. Like, we're looking at a lot of things like that. So why wouldn't we look at our own lives like that? Like, it's crazy.
It's moments,
But But all this got me thinking even more about self-obsession and how social media literally encourages and promotes that, right? Like it's love yourself, hashtag love yourself fucking everywhere. Since the fucking, I don't know, Haley Steinfeld, that song, Love Yourself, that ate down. I had a huge crush on her. Also, somebody told me I looked like her the other day. I just forgot about that. That was really nice of him to say that. But yes, so... yeah, like he was like, I was interviewing him. He was like an older guy, and he was like, anyways, it doesn't matter. Like, so I'm saying, like, is self-obsession a bad thing, right? Like, I don't know. And there's obviously a fucking spectrum. Like, arguably, we are kind of told to be obsessed with ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, and to not fucking hate ourselves and want to die, to be honest, you know? It's the cure to insecurity is to love yourself, fall in love with all the darker qualities, lift yourself up. So I guess like with all these like hidden messages that we see and like all of the advertisements, like be happier, like whatever, fall in love with yourself first. Like what I'm saying, it's like, of course, like if you get it, you get it. Like you got to love yourself, but also you got to love other people and not think that you're the only one. Like we're all just little ants in the universe. But for younger, impressionable people on TikTok, like they could emulate narcissistic qualities because of that. Like maybe, am I digging too deep, guys? Let me know. But I feel like main character syndrome and all of this does play into like our self-obsession, like individualistic United States shit in a society. Like main characters thrive here. And it also like allows people like, because you have self-obsession and love yourself, and then you have all these people that fucking hate on you when you really do love yourself, because then you come across too confident and, like, they don't want, like, it's too much for them. So, like, it's exhausting.
Because I feel like self-obsession, like, love yourself, OD extra, is different than self-obsession, and I feel like self-obsession can also be like self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? Because in both aspects,
you're doing it so
you're obsessing over yourself. Because I feel like that's very much like I either love myself or I fucking hate myself.
Yeah,
like it oscillates between two, and it again like the mental health situation.
Yeah,
but it is both still self-obsession, and I feel like when I do zoom out and I talk to you, talk to a friend, listen to a podcast, like do something that gets me out of like my own head and the fact that I'm not the only person experiencing these emotions or like these life things. Like we're all connected by like, you know, the greater, like we all have those feelings, you know?
Yeah, and it's like as much as I love to be the main character, like I love thinking about myself, looking at myself, like we were saying off camera, like I listen to my own voice memos back because I'm like, oh my God, bitch, that was so fucking funny. Like we all watch our own TikToks. Like I watch videos of me like our dancing, looking cute. Our own stories, like it's like boom, boom, boom. Like how would someone else want to view this, and you want to see how it would look from their eyes to view their story. I've even gone ahead to ask my roommate, can I please see your phone because I want to watch my story on your phone. So I get it. Yeah. But if we really bring it down, like if I can think about like the truest, happiest moments of my life, I don't think I was really thinking about myself. You know,
you weren't thinking about the audience.
Clouds. I was in the moment. I was like, it was focusing on someone else or like love. Like it wasn't like the self-obsession shit.
Yeah. So, yes. I feel like that's so true because I feel like in the times that, and why is it always when I'm out, guys? Like I said in the last episode, I've lived so much of my life in parties, in the fucking nighttime. But there is so much, like in the moments where I'm not thinking about like being perceived, thinking about being cringe, thinking about like the audience that's going on, like those are really like the best fucking the best moments.
Movie moments,
the best movie moments. And it's almost like later when you're thinking about like the fact that there was an audience during that moment, it fucks it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
oh shit.
It's like you dancing and then you watching a video of yourself dancing and you're like, oh my God, like I actually look fucking terrible. But in the moment you felt great. But the video's not capturing it.
And it's not going to come across. Right. And people are going to make fun of me.
They're going to be like, what is she doing?
Exactly. And like some bitches will get it though. Like some bitches will get it. So whatever. But yeah, I love this. This is great. We just kind of took a detour, but we're going to go back into like sort of defining the main character. And if you guys like what you're listening to, whatever platform you're listening on right now, please take a second to subscribe or follow. It takes 2 seconds. We honestly are so far from making any money. That's not even what we're asking. We just want to build a community and like people we can learn and grow with, etc. So subscribe, follow, like the video. You can leave a comment on YouTube. Keep the conversation going. And we also post polls every single week for upcoming episodes, which we are just about to get into right now. So make sure you're following us at So Wet So Dry on Instagram so you can interact in our polls for the weekly episodes and even submit a listener story as well. So we asked you guys, what is a main character to you? And someone submitted and said self-absorbed freak.
Oh my
telling
God.
you, a lot of people do not like this word.
Oh, okay.
So,
Damn.
Giving space for that opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Even if it's a little mean. Knowing your gifts / that you're special. Aw.
I love that so much. Shout out to her. I love her who submitted that. Someone said the person driving the plot. Some people stay doing stuff and some people don't do shit. That. Like fucking that. Like that's a simple ass way to break it down. Like either you're moving the plot forward or you're keeping that bitch back. Like it doesn't like
or you're rotting. Yeah.
I love that.
Let's keep it going. Someone said ASAP Rocky. He just got he got not found not guilty in that trial. Did you see that?
No, what happened?
He like shot something, I don't know, and he was about to go to jail for a really long time. And he was found not guilty. And when it was announced, he literally jumped over the bench to like hug Rihanna. It was really cute. That was a main character moment. Yeah.
I love that. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know what happened, but I'm glad like he's good.
Yes.
Rihanna's good. That's what matters even more. Okay, and someone submitted, it's being authentically yourself and glamorizing things to give yourself a more positive outlook. And it's like glamorizing the little things, like glamorizing my shitty dinner that I don't know how to cook, but like I'm trying my fucking best, and like watching YouTube videos on my fucked up laptop that has like fucking smudges all over it. But I'm gonna pretend like it's wholesome. I'm in the forest, like no, but like I'm taking it too far. But it's like just glamorizing it, like the little things,
and like romanticizing it and stuff like that too.
Like,
yeah,
it's a good
appreciating
thing to do
the
that.
little moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who pioneers their own story and does it in their own characteristic way / style. And I love this because exactly in your own way, in your own style, you can be an introvert. You can be someone who doesn't like to be the center of attention. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be that and still be a main character, because you might have a complex inner mind that is perceiving everything around you in a super cool main character way. You could be the narrator of that story in a way that's dope. Like as a literature
if no
nerd,
one ever hears it, because you're so introverted, you never want to tell anyone. Even if you just have that gift and that like amazing book in your head, like that's fucking cool.
Right, create art from it, honestly.
Yeah. And it's also like, it reminds me, someone who pioneers their own story. We're always talking about like bitches be in their bed on TikTok and not outside living.
Yes.
Like we have agency in our lives. It's not like, oh, whatever life decides, that's what I'll do. That is literally how I've lived my life for the full 26 years. Because I like, it's like
whatever
scary.
it's almost too much to a point of
I mean,
like,
that's a lie.
whatever will happen. No, you've definitely like, you went to Europe, like you moved to LA.
I was just gonna say
you've
that.
done like big decisions. But I feel you, like I'm the same way, especially in relationships, like romantic relationships. Why am I just like letting whatever happen? Like I'm like, whatever the universe wants to happen will happen. Like no bitch, leave.
Like
bitch.
Like make a decision.
Yes.
Whether you're gonna stay or leave, be fucking firm in it. Don't be like, oh, like I'll just see how this one pans out.
Like no, it never pans out well.
We don't need to see it pan out. Like no, we can skip this episode for real.
Bye.
And then the last one is someone who stays true to self no matter situation or circumstance or who's around. So like that's authentic energy, and like I love that. So great job, guys. And we asked you guys, do you like to think you are the main character? 70% said yes, and 30% said no. I think we've already covered that we definitely do.
Yep.
And then we asked, do you think main character syndrome is synonymous with
synonymous.
And then we asked you guys, do you think main character syndrome is synonymous with attention whore? Because again, that's what I was getting from a lot of this. Someone literally said self-absorbed freak. And I fucking hate the term attention whore so much. And
it's misogynistic.
And I don't care.
We have the term whore.
One. Right. Like, can we shut the fuck up? Like, save it for the bedroom for real, bro. 18% said yes and 82% said no. So you guys are on it. Like, you guys got this. Like, I trust you guys. You guys are hip. And then we asked you guys, do you think main character syndrome is a bad thing? And 36% said yes, 64% said no. And again, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer because it depends on how you're defining main character syndrome. A lot of people on the internet will define it as a straight up fucking narcissist, awful, horrible human being. So if that's what you believe the syndrome is, of course you're going to think it's a bad thing. But I'm just like, we can choose to look at it differently. And there's also like women and human beings out there that look at it differently too. Like, this shit has like helped me in my life. Yes. Like, I like need to like if you guys want to diagnose this in the comments, I don't care, bro. Like, I'm just being
But there's a reason
for
there's
real.
so
like,
many YouTube videos, so many TikToks, like being like how to become a main character, da-da-da. So much of it is about like confidence and like finding your confidence. And like, again, you don't have to be that to be a main character. But like overall, I think it's a fucking good thing for the most part.
Like an attention whore to a degree, a fucking human being with confidence. It's like we fucking tell everyone be confident, but then y'all hate on the bitches that are confident. Especially women, and that's why there's a lot of she, her verbiage going on. Not that you need those pronouns to be a woman, but I'm just saying. So now we're going to look at some TikToks. We got 2 in a row, so let's watch them.
You should feel like the main character. It's your life. People will try to convince us that having main character energy or main character syndrome is a bad thing, but why wouldn't you feel like the main character in your life? If we think about movies, TV shows, the main character is typically the main character because that's the perspective that we see and that's the person whose feelings we actually know. If we compare that to real life, everything that we know is based off of our perspective, our feelings, our thoughts, our experiences, and our beliefs. It sounds like naturally we should be the main character because we're also the most constant person in our lives. Our world literally revolves around us because we are the only person that is guaranteed to be here from the beginning to the end. A small amount of egocentrism is actually really healthy because believing that you're the main character does not mean that you are self-centered or selfish or self-involved at all. It just means that you understand and you prioritize yourself and what you want and what you need in your own life. So again, if we think about movies, we think about TV shows, we think about books, there is a main character, but the side characters are typically just as important and they are just as influential. And that's the same with real life. Viewing yourself as the main character of your life, not of everyone's life, but just of yours. That doesn't mean that everyone else is less important or less impactful. It just means being confident and prioritizing yourself.
Okay, so this made me think of something that I thought of earlier, but forgot to say. So with main character syndrome, right, I would argue that it is a good thing because I feel like the friends that I've had that have been like, you know, jealous of me in certain senses or been like, oh, she's centering herself too much, I would argue that they are like making themselves a side character and not embodying their own main character energy. And I feel like when you don't think about yourself and you don't focus on the fact that you are the only person who can change your own life, like, you know what I'm saying? Then you look for other people to save you. You look for other people to do things for you. You look for other people to like, you know, and I've had people in my life before that I feel like they've seen me as a main character. And so they've tried to embody this side character thing and almost like played the martyr, like victimized themselves for it when it's like, I'm not doing that to you. Like no one is like I would like to lift you up.
Smaller. By focusing on me 24/7.
By focusing, you're focusing too much energy on me and why you're not like me or why I'm taking too much space when it's like, I'm like letting you borrow my clothes, letting you wear my makeup, helping you out, giving you like a place to stay, all of these different things
fucking
where it's like
advice
but
for
I
free
can't create,
every day.
Right, I can't create confidence for you. You need to do that. So I do think if you look at it like that, everyone needs to focus on like,
Right.
I am the only person that is going to drive my story forward. I'm the only main character in
Right.
this story. And also recognize where it's like, again, like everyone has their own story. Like we're all
Right.
main characters
Yeah.
in our own lives. And the side characters, like just like how in my life, right? Technically, you're a side character, but have you moved my plot forward and helped me grow in so many ways? Yes, it doesn't mean that you don't matter because like you're a
Right.
side character in my life. It is inherently important. Like if I was living a life without other people around me, then
Right.
the story would not progress.
Just like the main character like might not be anything without the secondary characters and
Right.
also without the audience. It's like you're not like you need those other things. And like I think like this might be uncomfortable for you, but like I feel like we all know that one girl or like even if we're not friends with her, like that is just like really cool and like everyone wants to like wear her clothes and be like her. And like Fiji has not only been like that like for a little bit, but forever. Like ever since I met you when I was 19 years old, which was 7 years ago. And I go to Atlanta now and it's the same shit.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants this bitch's clothes and to like parade that closet. And it's
Yeah.
like because like and you do have this energy where people want to be around you and like want your spot to be the one where we gather because like that's your aura and your energy and like
Yeah.
people are drawn to that. And it's like it's weird and it's like you can't help that.
it, yeah.
You know, it's like you never did anything like, hey guys, everyone wear my clothes. Like you probably don't fucking want everyone wearing your clothes.
Well, and
but
I
you're
don't
like,
know, but
oh,
the thing is
whatever.
I don't mind, but I do think, yeah, I feel like it's been like that for a lot of my life in a lot of different situations because it's also like, you know, I was good at sports. Like I've had a lot that it's like has drawn people towards me or put me in a place where I feel like people want to be my friend because exactly what you were talking about, like the it girl situation. I don't
Right.
feel like that until
Yeah.
like this point in my life where
But
I can at
people
least
perceive you.
recognize it. Yeah, because honestly, in like middle school and high school, like one of my best friends, Dana, she had way better style than me. Like I got a lot of style and inspo from her. So like when I look at like the
Yep.
story of my life, like I took style inspo from so many other people before like it is now. But like I do see what you're saying because I have had that experience in my life where I felt like that. But it's I don't like.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't,
why I meant it's uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
that's like what we're talking about. Because
Yeah.
I feel like everyone can like identify that. Like whether it was like a girl at their school or their job or like a friend you've had. Because like even in high school, like I had a friend that I think was main character energy too. And like
Yeah.
I wanted to be in her orbit. Like I don't think I had stepped into my power yet. But exactly, like I feel like I found my main character energy through a lot of friendships and like
Well, me
other
with
people
you.
believing in me. Yeah, with
And
you,
that's
100%.
because that's what I'm saying about
That's-
wanting to
it took
surround
off, bitch. I was
yourself
like-
with other people that are also stars. Because I feel like even though like okay, I might have had it in like the fashion way or in the way of like confidence in this sense, like I feel like becoming friends with you, like I was way more shy around
Right.
like other groups of people. Like I was like, you're way more like the person that's gonna go out, like talk to someone, like make something happen, like be confident in that moment. So it's
Right.
like we talked about it in the It Girl like business female friendships episode where it's like I like having friends around me that I'm like slightly jealous of or that they're slightly better than me in
Right.
things.
But it's like
not
hard
to compete,
sometimes too.
but to grow. Yeah.
Right. And it's hard though, because like that is what it's for. But like society sends messages where it's like female friendships can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like it's not good to be like jealous of your friend and like the way they look or the things that they have. And I think like we've grown now where it's like
Yeah.
we come to the point where it's inspiring, but it was not always like that. And we talked about it in that episode. And
Yeah.
even sometimes now I'll still be jealous of like female friends that I have around me. Like
yes, we all
still.
are.
and you just have to like catch yourself because it's like a game they're trying to play with us, but
Right.
it really should inspire you to just like want to be better and not be like them, but like give that in your own way, like whatever that looks
Yeah,
like.
and not try to like copy what they're doing.
Right,
Like
because then it won't be authentic. It won't like
Right.
feel the same, and it might feel it more will feel like, because I feel like when I've tried to like copy people, it feels like you're playing dress up.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you find your own style and you find what works, and maybe not everyone thinks it's cute, but you do, like that's when I'm like, oh
Yes, this is
You
me.
know?
I'm being
But
authentically
and like it's
myself.
fun to play dress up. It's okay sometimes, and sometimes you do have to like imitate to like find your own
Right.
shit a little bit. But it might not make the person you're copying feel too good, but it
Right.
is what it is.
I don't have a problem with you thinking that you're the main character. Main character syndrome is a great problem to have. The issue comes when you think you're the main character in my story. There's only room for one main character in my story, and you should think the same way. Don't ever let someone come into your life trying to be the main character that you are. And if you feel like you're a side character in your own life, it's time for you to rewrite your story.
Okay, so this shit, I feel like, first of all, again, it brings me back to the side characters, because I feel like the people that like make it their whole personality to be the side character end up trying to make themselves more of a main character in your life, when it's just like, bro, worry about yourself. But also,
Right.
I have made someone else a main character in my life. And it was when I was dating my ex, and it was like, again, like it was a toxic relationship. It was an abusive relationship. Like I should have left him. And I feel like this is a lot of people who get in relationships that are just like bad for you, toxic, like whatever, where you like base your entire relationship off of their fucking decisions. It's like, I was not thinking I'm the main character. I can leave. I can go do this on my own. Like I can like whatever. It was just like whatever he did, I needed to support him. Like I needed to hold him down. And I feel like I have that problem like in relationships with men, where I will like make my life take a back seat. And even when it comes to expressing myself creatively, getting dressed, all of those things, like anything that's gonna like draw more attention to myself or like put myself like my decisions first, I become a complete side character to the man in my life. And I need to fucking work on that shit, because that shit's not healthy.
And I agree, and you are so valid, and I hear you, and I do just want to say, like, of course, as you know, like, with abuse, though.
Right.
So let's just wind it
Yeah,
back a little bit. But,
it's
like,
a little hard.
Like, with shitty relationships, for sure. But, like, with that added layer, like, if you have an abusive partner, like, it's fucking hard. Like, you literally can't.
Because you start to live for them. Like, it's
right,
like,
but
bro.
I feel you. Like, even with, like, certain friends, like, even, like, it's just, like, people, we get so wrapped up. Like, yeah, and that is, like, I never want to do that again. Like, I am not the secondary character, not to shit on other people, but, like, life is too precious. And not promised that, like, I'm, like, dude. And, like, I've even, like, this was an issue in my last relationship with this woman I was with, because, like, she was Christian, and she really believed, like, do thou for others, you know? Like, we live to, like other people, like, you should. And I was like, nah. Like, at the end of the day, like, all I have is myself. And do I sound like a fucked up American? Probably. But, like, that is what I have to believe for, like, survival. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's only your mind, like, because they give so much to other people, and then it's like they have nothing in return. So, of course, they're going to expect other people to, like, be there at the drop of a hat. And I like, is this fucked up? Like, is this fucked up? Like, if you have, like, okay, I'm like, if you're in a relationship, because friendship, I feel like, no. Like, like, if you fucking needed me, I don't care if I was bleeding out on the sidewalk.
But you need to get better about that sometimes, because sometimes...
but wait.
Okay, all right.
But I would answer the call for you. Like, I would fucking be there. But in relationships, a lot of times, like, I've had issues with them being like, oh, like, you
drop everything.
You don't want to hang out with me as much as I want to, or, like, you drop everything for me whenever I want. And I'm like, no. Like, literally no. Like, I'm in love with you. I, like, want to be with you so much, but no. Like, I don't do that, because I'm like, I love to be alone, and, like, I prioritize myself hard. And, like, is it selfish? Yeah. Maybe. But back when I used to not be selfish and be the secondary character, I was miserable. So I'm never going back there again. But I know I need to get better at that.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, with little things, like, podcast related, like, you'll be like, oh, like, I'm in a meeting, like, I'll answer after. And I'm like, bitch, you don't have to tell me that. Like, I'm not worried. Like, I'm not bothered if you're not responding. I know you have a life. Like, I know you're going to respond. Like, I'm not taking it personally. Right. You know what I'm saying?
But so, I just love you so much.
I know you do. Like, I mean, you've taught me, honestly, you've taught me a lot about, like, even being better in relationships and maintaining communication, though. Because, like, I'm the type of person where it's like, I'll disappear. Right. You know? And sometimes I need to be better about being, like, present. Yeah.
Like, I'll triple the fuck text you. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
In general, I will triple text anyone and everyone.
I just hate texting, too, though.
I know.
So it's
that's
like,
all we have. Like,
voice memo?
Okay, this bitch is the queen.
Because I can't, like, like, sometimes my thoughts are too much. I can't type that shit. I have nails.
How it's perceived.
I can't see. A mess.
It's so much. I know, it's honestly such a better way to communicate, like, and not like
You can
like,
hear my
things will
tone.
be correctly.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, no, I fuck with it. Okay, so next we're going to just read some comments under the YouTube video we originally spoke about. In her comment section, there was like a lot going on. And so we're just going to read some comments back and forth on what people think about main character syndrome. Someone said, half the time, main character syndrome just feels like a way to say attention whore in modern day. But we don't want to seem as directly misogynistic.
Tea. Someone said, I feel like a year ago, everyone was saying romanticize your life and be the main character like it was a new self-help tool and to make life feel more meaningful in the mundane. And now all of a sudden it's passe and a sub-in for narcissism. Why? Who is my life and art supposed to be for? And I feel like this is so true, like the pendulum swing of like, we're doing this and never mind, now we need to, because we go too far. We're like, main character syndrome, romanticize your life. People go all the way too far and then people are like, oh, individualism, actually maybe we should care about community. And then like, it's a balance.
It's the same thing with cringe, dude. It's
yes.
Like, it started like, can we just cringe at like someone that's like we think they're ugly and like it's a joke and we move on. Like,
yeah.
Then it became so ableist with like all of the little everyone's paying attention to everything going on in someone's face. Their movements.
And hyper like everything is
and
cringe.
That's just like the fucking tale as old as time with TikTok.
Yep.
But my thing is like, this commenter said, who is my life and art supposed to be for? Who is it supposed to be for?
Okay,
us?
I have a
art
big
and
problem
life
with this.
are different things. I think my life is for me, but my art is a little bit for me, but like it's also like it's for other people. Like, honestly.
I have this problem because I've been thinking a lot lately. Like, I'm having this whole identity crisis where I'm like, why am I working in tech? Donald Trump is president. What the fuck is going on? Like, I need to change my life. And like, we have this podcast, but like, we're realizing as creators that it's going to be a long time until we can do this full time.
We're
so like,
you guys.
Like, yeah,
we
like
fucking
we,
2 views
right.
a day,
like if you're watching,
we still
thank
show
you.
Up here. Yeah, like, and I'm like, we're not. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, it's too much. But I'm like, okay, I love that we have this like cadence of the podcast, like we're creating regularly, but there's more that I want to do. I want to write, I want to paint, I want to like create visual shit. Like there's more that I want to do. But every time I go to do it, I'm like, you're a self-obsessed freak. And like, what are you going to do? But at the same time, can I create art about anything that is not my own life? It feels like to create, and that's how you get into appropriation, right? When like a white person starts writing a book about growing up in the hood, and it's like, bro, like write from what you know. And so like, but at the same time, creating art about your life feels so self-obsessed.
But
so
that's
like
all
the problem
you
I'm
can
having
do,
now.
because even if like it's literally your fucking perspective, you're making the art, like the fucking female gaze, whatever the shit, like you can't help it. It's gonna
I don't
want to
be yes. I keep
no
going on the line of being like, oh, like, because I do think people can learn stuff from us, obviously. Like, we have a fucking podcast, but we're also not like, you need to do this. This is the fucking way. Like, we're telling you what our experiences are, what our research is. Like,
no, you're telling me that we don't know.
But we don't know, but this is what we found. And I feel like that's like how I want to look at art too, but it's just like, but then it's like, should I be creating art less as a catharsis and more for a purpose to heal humanity? It like,
all right, I'm gonna need you to run it back. Catharsis,
catharsis, like an emotional like release sort of thing. Like,
got it.
Like like an orgasm. Like it's a release.
And
like
that's
I created this art to get
art.
rid of it. I feel like it's both, right? You create art as like, I need to get this thing out of my body and onto like a piece of paper that exists in the world. But then when you release it into the world, all of a sudden it's your vulnerable raw self. And then is this helping anyone, or is this just self-obsessed to put out there and think anyone would want to engage in
like,
it?
Maybe just like making the art and then just like never like putting it out there would be better. But also like that doesn't seem right. You know?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's complicated. I love that though. We've been very into the like life art thing
art
lately.
is life. Life is art. Yeah.
Someone else commented, what main character syndrome was supposed to mean? People acting like nobody else mattered in public spaces and being disruptive and obtrusive to others. What main character syndrome has come to mean? You're a narcissist if you don't hate yourself or you have the nerve to believe your own life and existence is about you personally. So again, just like how the term has changed and this person's nuanced take.
Last one. I had always interpreted main character syndrome as just another word for self-centered, and specifically in how you interact with people in your life, not necessarily online. So interesting that it's come to mean acting like you have an audience. My mom would constantly point out the appearance of other people in public and make fun of them. I was a fat kid that grew up and into a fatter adult, and I felt like everyone is looking at me and judging me. It made me extremely self-conscious, and I now actively ignore everyone around me in public. I now dress up pretty much every day, still ignoring everyone around me because I don't want to realize that they are definitely looking at me. I'm frequently the largest person in the room, and I wear alt fashion. I stand out a lot, LOL. But I'm doing it because it makes me happy and it makes it worth leaving my house. New anxiety unlocked, being accused of trying to be the main character. I love this.
Come the fuck on, bitch.
I love this. And this is like how I feel about like how I dress and how I embody a room and all of those things, because I've turned my like biggest insecurities and points of shame into something that I'm screaming out loud before someone else notices it first and makes me uncomfortable. Like for me, grew up in Catholic school, wearing uniforms. Like I found out I was pretty and my body was nice before, like from other people before myself, and then always felt really fucking weird about it. Like, oh my God, like eyes on me, like my body is sexualized, like da-da-da. So now I think I over-sexualize my body and I dress outward because it's like, oh, like I'm gonna make sure like I'm embodying this energy before somebody else embodies it and like projects it onto me. So I love like this person saying that, because it's like you have this insecurity about being fat, about your body, like all of those things. But there's nothing wrong with being fat. There's nothing wrong with like people looking at you or catching someone's attention. Like that is beautiful to a lot of people, you know? And wouldn't you rather, like if people are gonna stare at you, wouldn't you rather be feeling beautiful while they're staring at you versus like have them stare at you and you being like, oh my God, like no, like
sounds fucking miserable.
Shine. Yeah.
Right. And it's just what I said at the beginning. It's a coping mechanism. Like this shit is a literal coping mechanism. Like you go out in public, you're just focused on yourself because you don't want to like even interact with the rats amongst us in public. Like I feel that and I love this so much. So shout out to that commenter. All right, now we're going to get into the Carrie Bradshaw situation. So if you guys don't know, Carrie Bradshaw is a character in the iconic television series Sex and the City, which did come out in 1998, about a month after your girl was born, about 3 months after you. So like this shit, this shit's been streaming. It's having a moment right now, like the Carrie Bradshaw effect, Carrie Bradshaw
It's on
syndrome.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, everybody's watching it.
A lot of Gen Zers are watching Sex and the City for the very first time. And so she's having a moment again. And a lot of people think she is the definition of main character energy, main character syndrome. If you were in a dictionary, main character syndrome, that bitch's face would be right motherfucking there. And people are hating. Like, people are fucking hating on her really hard. And there's an article from Vox that doesn't matter if Carrie Bradshaw is the worst. Carrie Bradshaw is a menace. That's the point.
Oh.
So, in the article, it says, we had never seen female characters date this way or talk this way before on television, says Jennifer Armstrong, author of Sex and the City and Us, How Four Single Women Change the Way We Think, Live, and Love. Carrie was at its center, which is a position often reserved for the sane, grounded, most relatable one. So again, like saying we had never seen female characters act this way on TV. Yep. This shit was dropped in 1998, like late 90s. Like life is obviously very different now. So a part in the article was entitled, "Is Carrie Bradshaw really that bad? Does she really deserve the hell that has rose?" I don't know, guys. Okay. The article says that critics tend to highlight her self-centered tendencies, including cheating on her boyfriend, Aiden, and having an affair with Big while he was engaged to another woman. And again, she is known to be the blueprint for what the internet has labeled main character syndrome. Citing a season 4 episode, One I Consider Useless Plot Filler, where she expected her friend Charlotte to sell her engagement ring to loan her thousands of dollars. More recent, TikToks and tweets have used Carrie as an informal case study in insufferable and even toxic behavior. In one TikTok, songwriter and content creator Caddy Brown, who makes videos about relationships and mental health, argues that Carrie surpasses the threshold of a complicated character. Rather, she considers her a master manipulator and narcissist. Here's the narcissism. It's coming in. Another quote from the article, Carrie's the main character, so of course she talks about herself a lot. Another quote says she's a flawed human being. Some people are bad at handling money. Some people date who aren't the best for them. Sometimes those people are your best friends. So if you're saying this person is terrible, you could also say the people you associate with are terrible. So this article is kind of defending her in that way, like saying like she's a main character, but she's flawed. She's not perfect. And I know y'all bitches who are hating are not fucking perfect either, is basically what it's saying. So reading a little bit more, the harsh reactions to Carrie's antics are particularly interesting to see today. In 2024, which it's 2025 now, guys, I know.
Hey.
The unlikable, quote unquote, protagonist whose life is in shambles is a common leading archetype in many female-driven television comedies, which is so true.
Yeah.
Like a shit ton of series right now are starting off with like, after being broken up with, after losing their job, starting over. Like, it's like you're in shambles and we want to see someone who's fucking miserable go to the top floor. That's what they want to see. And that's a huge thing right now. And also the New York Times noticed an increasing appetite for female protagonists who, quote unquote, undermine their own growth, more likely to be mired in failure than striving toward wedding rings and corner offices, much like Carrie throughout the show. So it's like people getting in their own way, basically. And lastly, overall, these repeated declarations of Carrie's awfulness seem to misunderstand her flaws as a bug and not a feature of a show about a group of rich, solipsistic white women. There's a valid argument that it's pleasant to watch characters grow and reflect on their mistakes. Likewise, would a more redefined, less delulu version of Carrie result in an equally compelling and outrageous series? Morgan argues no, claiming that nothing would have happened if it weren't for Carrie acting out on her insecurities and constantly ignoring red flags. At the very least, Carrie gave viewers something to talk about and debate together. So a lot going on here, but all that I'm getting is you guys, like, it's a fucking TV show, first of all, and main characters are not perfect. Sometimes they are kind of insufferable, but it's also relatable. This is how a lot of you bitches act. Like, this is how I act. Like, the amount of red flags I've ignored, oh my God. Like, oh my God. And do I get in my own way all the time? Yeah. But that's real. Like, isn't that relatable? But everyone's like so fucking scared of being labeled as like overly confident or like insecure even. And so it's just like you shame the bitch like 10 times hard. And I'm just like, Gen Z people watching it, like the show, it wasn't even for you. Like it wasn't for you.
It was a different era.
This was crazy during the time. It's like she had the sex and relationships thing. It's like she like this was good for its time. And like, I don't know, the internet's funny. So
yeah, and that's the whole thing about it. It's like this paradox, right? Because it's like Carrie is literally the main character of the show. So like we're getting mad at her for her being a main character. And it's like, is she a little bit self-obsessed? Is she a little bit whatever at times? Yes, definitely, probably. But also like, are we also only really watching her perspective throughout the show? Like obviously Charlotte and Miranda and Samantha all have like more complex internal thoughts and all of that, but like we're getting most of it from Carrie. So obviously Carrie's gonna be a little bit more insufferable and stuff because like we're getting her fucking point of view in the show. And like the thing with Charlotte and Carrie, I forget this specific like I actually watched a YouTube video essay about this specific thing, so like I'll find it and we can add it to the sources. I don't really remember like completely, but like how Carrie expected her to sell her ring and like da-da-da-da. Like I don't know, like there's been this whole like love train of Charlotte right now and being like Carrie is awful, and I've always been a Samantha type of girl, but I think each of the girls serve their like a specific purpose for the show, for the time period, and driving forward like what it means to be a woman like in your 30s in New York and be sexually liberated, be dating, like all of those things. But I think it's interesting that so many people are like preferring Charlotte and her like selflessness, which I don't see as selflessness all the time, because Charlotte is a very conservative woman. She's a very like old money, like cares about status. She dresses more conservatively. She's like turned off by sex in certain instances. And a lot of like creators are jumping on the divine feminine whatever bandwagon and like pinning her against Carrie. And so it's like all of this, to me, misogyny that misses the point of the show, which is like you being a messy woman figuring it out. Like Carrie is supposed to be self-centered in some of these episodes because she is learning. We are all self-centered sometimes. Like if you think you're not self-centered, you're probably a narcissist or something like that, because
Especially
you haven't self-reflected.
Too.
Yes, like, and this show has a lot wrong with the ways that it talks about sexuality, with the ways that it talks about race, all of those things, because it's also a product of its time period. And I don't think I don't think we should be watching it back and just being like, oh, it's fine. It's fine that these white women were doing these white things because like that was a time period. That's not what I'm saying either. Like, I think we need to like clock that and be like, okay, like learn from it, like do these shows better. Like that was definitely something like wrong with it. But like, I don't know. I don't love Sarah Jessica Parker. Like, I don't even know if Carrie's my favorite character, even though we're a lot like her in the whole sex relationships aspect. Like, we literally weekly ask
maybe
questions.
That's why we don't have any views.
Yeah, maybe that's why we don't. But like, it's just like, again, like she's a fucking main character, guys. Like, I want us to have some media literacy, some like literature literacy, like show literacy, like,
cause like this shit doesn't happen the same way to like fucking men. You know what I mean? It's like, of course, it's a fucking bitch that is like attention whore, like da da da. It's like, how many male characters have only moved for their, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, but that's fine. He's hot. Like,
and like, can we see the nuances? Can we see the complexities? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Carrie puts big above her friends a lot of the time. That is like part of her coming of age, growing up, becoming a woman situation. Like, main characters don't always make the fucking best decision. I've put men above my friends. Yeah, like, hello.
Like, not like the not us specifically, like us too, but it's like the audience and like all these people on TikTok. It's like, guys, like, I'm just like, and that, it's like messy characters are relatable, and as much as they can piss you off and you're like, oh, like she keeps like going back to him or whatever, like it's annoying because you want them to whatever, like see their worth, but it's like, it's fucking relatable, and like it does like
and
imitate,
it's real. Just like, it reminds me of It Ends With Us, and at the end how everyone's mad that Lily Bloom is going back to what, Atlas? No, that's the other guy. She's going back to the bad guy. Or no, he held the baby or whatever.
In the hospital.
I'm like, again, like, make it make you uncomfortable, make it make you mad, but like this, it portrays real life.
Right.
And to me, Carrie is like a very like thought out, like nuanced, developed character, as a lot of us are. None of us are fucking perfect. So it's like, I don't know.
And I know. And it's like, oh, well, why would she let him hold the baby? It's like, you guys don't realize, like, yes, he's an abuser towards her, but they had a child together. It's not that black and white. And why are you still making it about her? Why the fuck did she let the baby see its father? Like, I'm just like, I get it, but it's just like, it's not like, it's nuanced. Like, you don't understand. Like, and that like imitates like real people's shit. Like, people are in abusive relationships. They have to co-parent. Like, that is reality. Like, that. It sucks. It's hard, and whatever like people decide is okay to go with. But damn, I know.
And it's not supposed to be like your like the media that you consume is not supposed to be like your moral standing. Like, this is not like, I feel like everybody likes to look at media like we look at the Bible. Like, oh my God, do as Jesus would do. Do as Carrie Bradshaw would do. And it's like, no, like real art is supposed to have you reflect on your own life and the ways that you might have been like Carrie and what you would do in that situation and not destroy Carrie. Like, we're missing the point, and it's just more misogynistic. Yeah.
Okay, well, our last section, we're just going to do a quick note on confidence culture. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's like we have this like self-obsessed society, main character syndrome, confidence culture, like all of these things, love yourself. So there is this article from Dazed that says, is self-confidence culture helpful or a late capitalist ploy? So like, is confidence culture a good thing? That's all we're going to talk about right now. So The article says the message is clear. Confidence can cure all, and the very real structural and societal issues that have caused these problems have been all but erased and glossed over in favor of individual responsibility. So, like, this article also, I should have said, is kind of arguing that, like being confident and loving yourself, like, isn't enough. Like, there's a lot of, like, societal, like, issues at play. So, like, it talks about kind of, like, so for this example, Kat from Euphoria, remember her?
Yep.
A teenager with no power or influence is suddenly the one responsible for smashing beauty standards. Like, people went crazy over that character. Like, they felt like she exuded so much confidence as a woman in a bigger body. She was doing sex work. Like, there was a lot of things happening. So responsible for smashing beauty standards instead of the capitalist systems that continue to perpetuate these ideals for profit. The issue, in fact, isn't Kat failing to love herself. It's the continued prevalence of fat phobia, the fact that the average size of a UK woman is 16, but plus size clothing doesn't even make up 20% of the market. And the myth perpetuated even by doctors that lack of willpower is the reason for obesity, when 60 years of medical research shows diet almost don't work. So I don't know how I feel about this, because it's like it's basically saying that, like, her moment as a character, like, doesn't really mean anything, because, like, the reality is, like, fat phobia is alive and well. And I do follow, like, a lot of, like, plus size activists on social media, so I've learned a lot about the market. And yeah, it's fucking trash, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go to a store. Like, you have to order everything. Like, if you're plus size, and, like, it's harder. So I don't know. I'm like, but I still loved Kat. Like, she deserved her moment of confidence. Like, just because it doesn't mean everything's better. It's like, we got to start somewhere. So I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like this is just, it's like the different dimensions and looking at everything, right? Because it's like, okay, like, Kat felt shame in certain ways about her body and all of her insecurities because the society that she's in, but that's not her fault. But unfortunately, the journey to loving herself is her responsibility, because, like, that is what she's left with. So she has to learn that journey. That's a big burden to carry as the individual. Okay, like, you need to learn how to love yourself because, like, the society that you were growing up in told you not to.
It's going to tell you not to and continue to, yeah.
And so, like, that arc is like, yeah, I don't know.
I know, right? So I was, like, low-key speechless. But anyways, reading a little bit more, like, they really argue, like, confidence culture turns away from wider social issues and encourages women to turn inwards and work on themselves as a means of doing and feeling better. But I'm like, isn't that a good thing? And then they said, this phenomenon of blaming the individual rather than the structures surrounding them has been dubbed confidence culture by sociologists, these two people, in their newly released book of the same name. Rather than identifying social issues and working collectively to change them, confidence culture turns away from wider political, economic, and social issues and encourages women to turn inwards and work on themselves as a means of doing and feeling better, like I just said. I also didn't put it in here, but they did do some study with monkeys. In this book I have called The Confidence Code, they looked at monkeys and analyzed their behavior to see if they had what was like a confident gene, whereas, like, you know, are some people just born more confident or are they not? And they did find that some of the monkeys did have a confident gene. So
interesting.
People, and they think that it may be reflected in humans, but we don't know.
Got it.
But anyways, that brings us to the end of the episode, guys.
All right, so we've made it to our ending segment where we're going to wrap up the episode with what we're so wet, so dry, and still a little bit confused about the topic, because it is okay to still be confused. I will go first. I'm very wet about embodying this main character energy, ? Because a lot of me, like, in thinking about this, I'm like, it's not even main character energy, it's just confidence, or it's just being yourself. Like, the whole thing and how we're defining it is still a little bit confusing. But I think, like, especially for me, in talking about, like, the ways that I, like, own who I am in my fashion and, like, what I wear and, like, being confident in talking to people, I think that I used points of, like, shame in my past or points of insecurity and, like, flipped it. Just like how that person had talked about with, like, being fat and then, like, wearing alternative styles. Because if the attention's going to be on them, they might as well have it, like, them feel good in the process. So I'm very wet about that confidence journey for myself and embodying the main character. I'm also just very wet about the idea of like, if you are the main character, this is the story. And like, you can create your own story and you should push it forward more, because like we talk about all the time, sometimes we feel like life is happening to us and we're not like making it happen.
So over it.
Like, I make it happen in moments, but not like in a full storyline. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with bipolar, because I'm feeling like a main character when I'm manic, and then I'm feeling like I want to be 6 feet below the earth when I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, me too, bitch. I mean, I'm wet about the topic. I was really interested in it. I think it's really just fun to pick apart how social media takes these words and just makes it a whole new meaning. Because I agree. Like, I still don't really know what a main character is for everyone, but I know that it is for me. And like, I'm wet about like talking about that. Like, I'm like, I do pretend that I am sometimes, but like not outwardly. Like, I'm just like alone in my room, you know, like I'm not hurting anyone. Like,
Right.
So it's like that sort of coping mechanism in terms of getting your confidence. Like, I'm wet that we like debunked some like Carrie Bradshaw situation and kind of was like, okay. And I also think it's really cool how like TikTok is like imitating film in a lot of way, and like we're like, oh, these are seasons of our life, and like we're romanticizing things. Like, I think to a degree that is okay. Like, I love to romanticize things and make it feel like a movie. Like, I've had romantic moments in my life that has felt like a movie and I wasn't even trying, and like those are the most authentic ones. But like, I'm cool with like romanticizing it. And yeah, I'm wet with the concept in general. I feel like we broke it down and took it in a whole lot of motherfucking directions per usual. But overall, that like main character energy that like comes with just like being authentically yourself and like not caring, wearing whatever you want, feeling good. Like, I'm wet about it.
Okay, I'm so dry about the parts of the whole like side characters and like being like main characters that should be seen as negative and like like that whole like conflict between the side characters that see themselves as side characters and main characters that whatever.
I am definitely dry with the misogyny piece that comes with the main character syndrome.
Thank you.
Similar to the pick me shit. You forgot, bitch. That's why we're two people.
Right.
Like, that shit sucks, you know, and like it's
Yep.
always a woman, like the attention whore shit, the self-obsession piece, and like the capitalism of confidence culture. Like, definitely dry about that shit too, honestly. Like, loving yourself does not end all. At the end of the day, it will not fix everything for you. Like, I do think like putting your energy into making it better for other people and having that community goal will feed you a lot more. But you do have to love yourself too. Sounds corny, but you don't need to like fucking like be obsessed with yourself. Like, I think I'm annoying sometimes, and that's a good thing. Like,
yes,
you can't think that you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm for sure annoying. Like, in this episode, probably like at least 167 times. Like, but it is what it is. So.
Yeah, and it's a fucking balance. I think that's what I'm confused about, and I think it's a lifelong journey finding it, because I think, like I said, in my past relationship, I like made my whole entire life about like whatever this man fucking did and like put my shit aside. And then in other points in my life, I've been like, fuck everybody. I'm the only person that fucking matters. And it's like, it is a fucking balance figuring out like, you know, when to be self-obsessed and when to be like cut people off and be like, actually they don't matter. And when to be selfless and like all of those things. Like, the whole thing is a mess. But like, again, main characters are part of a story. Characters grow. Like, it proceeds, it goes on. Like, I don't really know what to say besides that. I don't think it's bad to feel like a main character. I want to keep feeling like a main character in my own life, because what like to feel like a side character in someone else's story is fucking lame. Like, no thank you. Like, I don't think any of us want to do that. And like, we don't have to model ourselves off of the characters that we've seen in a lot of society. And yeah, usually in the fucking patriarchal, white supremacist, homophobic, everything that our culture exists as, there is a certain type of story that is the predominant one. And it's usually one that exudes massive amounts of confidence and gets things done with force and doesn't cry and isn't sensitive and isn't introverted or any of those things. And I think the more that we can look at being a main character as being like outside of that, outside of like the whiteness, outside of the masculinity, outside of like the character traits that are inherently masculine or whatever, we'll just be kinder to ourselves, because like just being like, oh, just be more confident is like so fucking exhausting, you know? Like, let me just be, you know?
Right. Sometimes I just want to exist in not being confident for a second. Like, is that fucking cool? Like, is that going to end me? No. Like, it's okay. That's the end of the episode. Hope you guys liked it. Please comment below. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, smash the like button. I see so many YouTubers say smash that like button.
Okay.
And then Spotify, Apple, you can follow. You can also rate us, guys, if you want to. That would be super cool. Again, we don't want your money. We just want the community. And also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at So Wet So Dry. The O's are zeros.
And we also do have listener support. If you are so inclined, it's 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. We love you guys. We do want your money, maybe just a little bit. We love you guys so fucking much, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye! I love to party. I have always been a fucking party girl since I discovered alcohol, since I discovered cigarettes, since I discovered weed, all the other substances, sex. I love to have fun. Feel free, let loose, like window down vibes where you're just lit and you don't give a fuck about